What's up guys, this video we'll be breaking down Hamza's most popular video about text game, which reveals his whole texting strategy from start to finish. And we're gonna really find out whether the advice he gives is legit or full of shit. Alright, so if you're not familiar with Hamza, he's your standard red pill self-improvement channel. A lot of advice like no fab, focus on your purpose, going to the gym, most of which I agree with and some which I disagree with. But what's pretty impressive about Hamza is that his channel has exploded in the last 2 years. He's at 1.73 million subscribers, which means a lot of people really fuck with his advice. This video I'm going to be reacting to got 1.5 million views, and we're going to be revealing a lot of his texting advice, most of which I'm going to heavily disagree with. But anyway, we'll get into that as we go along, but make sure you guys watch until the very end, because you don't want to be making one of these mistakes. Let's get into it.
Jeffrey's phone notification goes off again. It's her. He's so happy that she's replying. She seems so interested in him. Jeffrey's finally happy, but she keeps making excuses not to meet him. Jeffrey sees...
So if you're not familiar, this is something Hamza does. He has like a paradigm. There's someone named Jeffrey, who's like your average loser, and then there's someone named Adonis. It's a nice storytelling tool, but it's overly simplistic. There's no such thing as Jeffreys and Adonis. People are much more complex than that.
I text in a very business, somewhat formal manner, but I also send emotional connecting messages too, and we're going to break that down. So here is the step-by-step strategy to turn a stranger into a lover. Step number one is the initial connection. It's when you match with a girl on a dating app. It's when maybe she follows you on Instagram, or when you approach her and you get her number. Step number two is the first message that you're going to send her, and it's a simple hi plus a genuine compliment. Now all the red pill guys are like, never compliment her, bro, never validate her, bro. I don't give a fuck, bro. If I think a girl is cute, I'm going to tell her. That authenticity and that genuinity is why I'm attractive and why I seem confident. I'm not going to hold back. If I feel a certain way about someone, I'm not going to hold back in telling them.
So yes and no. Compliments are totally okay. There's nothing wrong with compliments, providing that there is a certain type of compliment. So if you're doing things like, hey, you're cute, or hey, I love your legs, that's not a good type of compliment, because you're complimenting on her on something she never had to earn. But if you're saying, hey, I like your style, hey, I like your tattoos, that's going to resonate totally differently, because she had to actually go out and pick her tattoos. She had to work on her style. So you always want to compliment girls on things they had to develop instead of things they were given to. So avoid general compliments that are about her looks. Those never work well, and she gets them 20,000 times a day.
The rest of this video, forget most of the advice you've ever seen in terms of interacting with women. When your brain generates a thought and you don't express that thought, you've already lost. That authenticity is how you automatically polarize women, the women who would actually be compatible with you. That's all you need to know. Like, I could end the video right here. Text her what your brain says. If your brain says some stupid shit, trust me when I say that if you actually texted that sort of stuff to every girl, you would eventually find the girl who truly is compatible with you.
This is horrible advice. He's saying if your brain gives you a really cringy, weird thought, just text it to the girl anyway, because eventually you're going to find one that fucks with your personality. I mean, this is very standard blue pill advice. It's basically like, hey, just be yourself and eventually the right girl will come along. I'm actually pretty surprised Hamza's saying that. The problem with that is just be yourself is really good advice if you're someone who's naturally attracted to women. So for me, just going with whatever my brain tells me when it comes to texting is good advice. But for the vast majority of guys who are struggling with this, it's not good advice, because their brain is going to tell them to do things that are not correct. It's going to tell them to send a cringy text or a creepy text, something like that. So you want to override that impulse you're going to get and actually go with something that you know is going to work based on, a strategy that you're following. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
All of the texting advice is such trash because it's too different from what your natural brain is like. And so eventually you start matching with girls who you're nothing like. And of course that just kind of dies down because you can't keep up this false charade. So in this first message...
But it's not a matter of keeping up a false charade. It's just overriding your natural instinct, which is, not taking you in the right direction, and going with something that works, right? So when I was learning text game, and I was kind of struggling with coming up with text, what I would do is if I was really stuck on a text, I would go back through some of my previous conversations, add a whole Google Drive folder that was called Winning, go through that, and that would kind of remind me, okay, this is the type of strategy I need to follow, right? And then I would send that text, but I wouldn't go with whatever, my instincts just told me initially.
Just a simple hi, hey, whatever, and a genuine compliment that my brain automatically generates for her. I'm telling you, this is the reason.
Okay, this conversation is definitely not real. Hello, I think you're cute. Yeah, again, don't send that text. It's very generic, not that good. She hears it 1,000 times a day.
Boy, I seem spontaneous and attractive. I have the confidence to just express how I feel about someone, and if she's anything like me, if she's compatible with me, she's attracted to that. Step number 3 after your first message, this is one of the most important parts of this, is to not let her lead the conversation. Now, let's say you send the message, hi, you're cute. Very simple, right? And she says, oh, hi, thank you. How are you? Pause. Jeffries and all the little spurgs will be like, I'm good. how are you? Conversation dead. She thinks you're boring as Most girls are boring, most girls are bad. Like, we can
Wait. If you say, I'm good, how are you? That doesn't necessarily make you boring as fuck.
say they're bad at texting because they don't actually have to be good at texting because they've got the God level abundance. Most girls are pretty boring and they've got very, very basic social skills. You can call me sexist, but it is the truth. She's going to text you.
He's like somewhat right about that. Women have actually really good social skills, but they're really bad at running game. You see this on Bumble when the girl has to open you, right? Typically their openers are really terrible.
Some boring bullshit is like, hey, how are you? Now, if you're a Spurg, if you're a Jeffrey, let her lead the conversation and reply to her questions. Now, I text in almost a weirdly autistic way. Now, it is a business, formal way, emotional connection, like I said before, but it's almost autistic in the sense that when she texts me a message like, how are you? I respond as if I haven't even read that she's wrote that because I will not let her lead the conversation straight into the garbage. I don't answer boring questions like that. She texts me, hey, Hamza, how are you? What's it to you, bitch? Why are you asking me for personal information? I'm not telling you. So
This is also horrible advice. Don't just ignore the girl's questions. Now, he's got the right idea about leading the conversation. So typically if the girl sends me a boring text like, hey, how are you? I'd be like, good, just finished a big workout, looking nice and fit for our date. But I'm still answering her question. You can't just ignore women's questions. If you do that, several times, the girl will just think that you're socially autistic and stop messaging you. So don't just ignore her question. Answer her question and then redirect the conversation. That's much better than just ignoring her question.
keep that in mind. And then step 4 is that you lead the conversation to where you want it, which it should be to meet up within a maximum of a couple of days. If you cannot meet up, I don't really respect you personally. I'm just going to give you my personal opinion here.
I don't respect you if you can't meet up with a girl you're talking to in 2 or 3 days. Like, what the actual fuck? What the actual fuck?
You can't meet her within a few days. Chances are you are very low value and you're texting her because she's the only girl that you currently can get. And so, she lives in a different country and you can't see her for 3 weeks or whatever. It kind of shows me, at least, and it shows everyone else and it shows you and it shows her that you don't exactly have much respect for yourself because you didn't want to text him.
This is so fucking dumb. If you can't meet up with a girl in the first 3 days, then that means you don't have respect for yourself. What kind of nonsense is this? How fast you meet up with a girl has absolutely nothing to do with how much respect you have for yourself. I would say that out of, all the girls I banged from Tinder, something like 40 or 50% of them, I didn't meet up for the first week, right? It took me 2 or 3 weeks. I was busy, she was busy. That's okay, people get busy. Now, just because you don't meet up with her right away doesn't mean you have to be her text buddy. So typically I'll set up a date if it's like a week out, I might text her a few days beforehand, send her a meme, confirm stuff like that. But it doesn't mean you're sitting there being her text buddy. But yeah, this is nonsense advice, especially if you're going for like hot girls, you're going really hot girls. I would say that maybe half the girls that I met from Tinder, I didn't meet for the first week. But if we're going by like the hottest girls, I would say that probably 60 to 70% of the really, really hot girls, the girls that really stand out, I didn't meet for the first week. Because when you're talking to hot girls, you're competing against a million fucking guys. She's not invested yet. She doesn't know you yet. So that's going to take a little bit of time sometimes to set up, especially for someone who's busy yourself.
Somebody did you. You wanted to connect with this girl, and quite frankly, especially for men, but even for women, the physical elements of our relationship with a woman and our love with a woman is incredibly important. And if you cannot meet her within a few days, it just dies. So in step 4, you are going to lead the conversation to where you want it, which is to organize a date within the next few days. And so let's talk about that date. So step 5 is to structure this date, and it's going to be something specifically that you are going to do anyway. That makes it incredibly easy and also more attractive to invite this girl to do that. And this is where the sexiness of this guide goes away and all the Spurgs will start getting disinterested because they don't do anything fun. That's the sad fact is if you're only doing fun stuff, if you're only planning fun stuff when you...
Okay, so there's an element of truth to what he's saying. I do that with girls I've already had sex with, right? For the 3rd, 4th meetup, it's a girl who I've been sleeping with. I'll be like, hey, I was going to go to the dog park. You want to come with me, right? So I will do that. But I don't recommend doing that for the first date. For the first date, keep it simple, right? Because some of the things you might do is go out with your friends, go to a comedy show. All of these are suboptimal first date activities. Just keep it simple. Go to a bar near your place or invite her over. And then once you get past the first hookup, then you can start being more creative.
Meet with a girl, and if you probably don't even do fun stuff with girls, then you're not going to be attractive anyway. This is why most young guys are so repulsive to women, because you don't do anything other than watch these dumb self-improvement videos. What are you going to text this girl like, hey, do you want to watch Hamza's new video? Like that would be a sick day, I'm not going to lie. But she wants to enter your life. She doesn't want your life to be changed because of her. So you should already be doing fun, cool, adventurous stuff. But the thing is, you don't. That's why you're watching this type of autistic level video right now. How to
he just repeatedly rags on people who watch his videos.
Text girls. If you were doing fun stuff, you wouldn't need this guide. But my videos are for Jeffries, and so I will help you through this. Okay, what you need to start doing, which is stupid, like basic ass advice that you're gonna get pissed off at. You have to leave your house and actually go try new things. Like how many times have you heard that one piece of advice from your mother and from me? Try new things. Like it's as simple. I'll give you the basic autistic level help here. It's as simple as going onto Google Maps maybe, and just seeing a few few different places around you. Oh, there's a bar over here, there's a park over here, there's a comedy club here. That's what you're going to invite her to. But first, you're going to...
Okay, trying new things is great. I recommend people try new things. It's going to do absolute jack shit to actually help you get laid with girls. Also, again, don't make things more complex for yourself than they have to be. Don't be like, oh, there's a comedy show that I was going to go to, come with me. No, have one bar. For me, it's like literally 95% of my dates are in one location. They're either at my house or they're a bar nearby. That's it. I don't like to add unnecessary complexity when I'm first trying to hook up with a girl. After the hookup, then yeah, you can start being more creative.
Go to those places anyway. And so for step 5, how you're going to invite her onto the date, this is the message you're going to send. I'm going to do X. Would you like to join me? That's instantly 10 times more attractive than the standard shit that guys send, which is like, oh, do you want to hang out sometime? Do you want to Netflix and chill?
Okay, so this is not the worst text ever, but it skips a few steps. So generally, the way I go about setting up a date is I'll soft close, like, hey, we should have a drink sometime soon. The girl agrees to the general idea. Then I figure out her schedule. Cool, what's her schedule like? Well, then once I know her schedule, then I hard close. It seems like he's kind of skipping the first and the second step and going straight to the hard close. Now, you can't do that with the strategy advocate. You can be like, what's your schedule like? The girl's like, oh, I'm free Friday night. You can be like, cool, I was planning on going to this bar Friday around 8. Want to join me? So you can kind of combine both of our strategies.
I'm gonna like do something. Huh? Now, step 6, in case she wasn't very extremely responsive to that and she didn't immediately say yes, is to rearrange the date a couple of times. I'll leave it up to you. I would suggest 1 to a maximum of 3 times. That if she says, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not really into that, she'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do Friday night. And so you say, okay, no worries. What's your schedule looking like? She should make it easy for you to get this date booked in. If it feels difficult to get it booked in, she's not really that interested in you. And if you do somehow like trick her into coming out on the date, she's going to be like the type of girl, because she's not interested in you.
So generally, he's right. The more attracted a girl is to you, the easier she will make it. However, you have to keep this in mind, okay? Especially if it's a girl from a dating app. She doesn't know you. There's thousands and thousands of other guys who she's talking to who seem cool, right? Like, why would she be ultra invested in the guy who she just saw a few photos of, right? She's not, right? So I typically expect girls to be really invested after we have sex, after the first date, but not before. So I'm okay with a girl being like a little, like loosey with the schedule and kind of, rescheduling a few times. Again, not too much. If she reschedules more than 3 times, then I cut it off. But a few times, or short text, like that's to be expected because again, she doesn't know you yet. And so why would she be invested?
You have to go and do a few years of self-improvement first before women are actually attracted to you. And all the black pill slugs like, wait, what about you?
This is my biggest gripe with content creators like Hamza and other red pillars. They operate under this complete fantasy tale that if you just do self-improvement, girls will come to you, or at the very least, a lot of this problems will take care of themselves. It doesn't work that way. Girls don't care that you do no fab. She doesn't care that you're on your purpose. That stuff can play a role once you get past a few dates and you're talking about a relationship. But when it comes to getting the first date or hooking up on the first date, she doesn't give a shit about your self-improvement journey, okay? What she cares about is your sexual market value and your game. Everything else is irrelevant.
Hamza, what about looks? Have your navel candle t-shirt?
So after you've tried to book in a date, let's say 1 to 3 times, if it's still not working, cut your losses, stop messaging her. Maybe potentially in like a month when you randomly see the messages again because you've been scrolling down your phone for some reason, maybe send another message then and go from there. But generally, if I can't get a date booked for the same week, I know that we're never going to meet, and it's easier for me to just kind of forget this girl exists than to continue trying to...
He's literally missing out on like half of the girls he could have met up with if he just like stopped following this really cringy mindset that if you don't meet her with 2-3 days, then it's not going to work. I remember when I used to work in sales, right? Like again, 50% of my sales did happen within the first few days, but there's a good percentage of sales that would take time. It would take a week, it would take 2 weeks, right? Sometimes the customer wasn't ready yet, and it's the same thing with dating.
To set it up for the future. So step 7 is that the date is now booked. You're planning to meet at 7 p.m. on Friday. Up until then, every now and then, when your brain expresses it to you, you're now going to send what I just call emotional connection texts, which is as simple at this stage. Let's say you've just kind of met this girl through a dating app and you've spoke to her literally just 10 messages. It's as simple as just randomly the next day just texting her like, excited to see you tomorrow. As simple as that. It's something that if you feel that way, text her, because it makes people feel...
Okay, in small amounts, yes, this can be good, but a lot of guys are too tempted to overdo this. So if you're the kind of guy who's naturally a little bit needy, or is like, like just kind of not that confident, and you're just like, fuck, I really need this date, right? Don't do that, right? You have to override that instinct that you would have to just basically text her, a bunch of like cutesy little texts.
Good when you do this, and think about it for yourself. If a girl texted you like that, you would feel awesome. Now, if a girl has actually booked a date with you, and she's going to meet you, she's attracted to you, she's interested in you, she likes something about you. Now, if she considers you somewhat high value, she doesn't know you like I do. I know you're a spurg, but... And that means that...
He just like doesn't stop making fun of his viewers.
If you send her one of these like emotional connecting text messages, it's actually going to make her feel good. And all the like the pill guys, black pill, red pill, whatever, all these like little weird internet people will disagree with me and say, no, don't make her feel good, bro, don't make whatever. But why not make someone feel good? Especially, the thing is, if she's into you, which if she's got to be, if she's booking, like, you know, she can book the date and obviously like have other guys booked and not meet you and stuff, but we're going to assume that she's into us because it's the only way that we can truly operate. If she's into you, then why not make her feel good? So up until you're going to meet, maybe you'll send 1 to 2 messages per day, which is just kind of like this emotional connection. You're not going to send funny memes or anything or stuff to try and make her laugh. It's only about building up a little bit of a connection where you just kind of...
Wait, why is it okay to send text like, hey, I'm excited to meet you, but it's not okay to send her a funny meme? Memes are awesome. Now, again, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be texting her a meme every day. But I utilize memes all the time. They're a really good way to basically keep the vibe going without actually having to like text with the girl back and forth. Really good.
Express what your brain is genuinely saying about her. So in your mind through the next day, you'll get a thing like, oh, shit, I'm meeting that girl on Friday. You can literally just like tell her, I just got this thought in my mind, like, oh shit, I'm meeting that girl on Friday.
Don't do that. Do not do that. You're going to come off pretty needy and the girl's going to think she has you in the bag, right? The girl should know you're interested in her, but she should still be like not sure if you're like really, really into her. She's like, oh God, I hope this guy likes me. I'm not sure. If she's like, this guy definitely likes me, the mystery is gone, and then she's going to put you off and you're not going to have as easy of a time either getting a date with her or hooking up with her, right? There should be a little bit of an element of mystery for the first or second date.
If you express that genuine thoughts, you will filter out anyone who's not compatible with you. So if you, let's say you send it to like a bad bitch and she's like, wait, this guy's kind of weird, like he's sending me these lovey-dovey texts, but like I usually just sleep with guys who spit in my mouth. Well, then you're clearly not compatible with her. As men, you have to realize that we still need standards, and the standards that we need, because we would sleep with anyone, the standards that we need is that we will only want to continue things with girls who are attracted to our genuine authenticity. Like that's the standard. If you show your authentic self.
So again, it's not a matter of being authentic or being inauthentic, right? I'm not advocating that you put on a whole act and pretend to be this like super dumb dude when you're actually like fairly average, right? I'm not advocating that. However, there's elements of our personality, of our game that are attractive to women and they're unattractive. So part of developing game, following this journey is to basically work on the ones that are attractive and build on those and kind of start to chip away at the ones that are not attractive. So when I was 18, 19, I had a bad habit of being needy, right? It'd be like, if a girl would text me back, I'd be like really tempted to double text her. I'd be like, hey, you're not interested, right? So I had to work on that. So I would just practice being a little bit less needy, every day. Like with every conversation, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to follow my instinct to double text her. I'm going to be patient, right? And I'm going to do what I know is right. And that's what you got to do. Again, I'm not saying you can be a completely different person, but I am saying work on areas of your life where you're not attracted. Keep pushing your personality in the right direction until you actually become that person whose instincts are correct.
And a woman isn't attracted to that, then she isn't up to your standard. So step 8 of this texting process is then to meet for the day, to have a fun time. Maybe you'll even sleep with her. And especially if you do sleep with her, or even if you just kind of connect it in any other way. Here right now is when it's very important to express that same type of texting behavior that you've been doing. So let's say you meet for the day, you have a good time. After that, you're still going to text in the exact same, somewhat business formal manner with also the emotional connecting text in between. So the business formal manner is how you get the dates booked, and the emotional connection text is how you just kind of express how you're feeling about her. It's so important to do those emotions.
I don't think that's the right frame, business formal. I keep my texting very casual. I think a much better paradigm is text a girl like you would text your friend, right? Keep it casual, keep it funny, keep it low-key. Business, whatever the fuck he's talking about, formal, I don't think that's a good mindset. And also, yes, generally speaking, you shouldn't do a complete 180 after sex, but I like to become a little bit warmer after sex. Like, okay, we got that out of the way. I think at that point, I don't need to be as kind of careful in what I say. I can be a little more loose, right? I can just go with whatever I'm feeling. So the advice he's giving is fine later on in the process, but not in the beginning of the process.
Emotional text, because that is how you filter out the women who are actually for you. So this texting strategy, kind of like cringy incel to call it strategy, but if that's what it is, it is. It invokes your honesty, your authenticity, and your confidence, and that's why it works. That's why it works better than every other guide that I've personally followed. Let's go through some frequently asked.
This definitely does not work better than every other guy he's followed. This strategy is highly, highly suboptimal. I would not recommend doing the vast majority of things he advocates. Again, it's red pill feel good advice, which is like a big issue I have with content creators like Hamza. They tell you what you want to hear. It's like, yeah, just be yourself. The right girl will come along. It's kind of like blue pill shit, right? Actually, some of the takes he has are very blue pill. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. It doesn't actually help guys achieve the results they want, which is getting a date and more importantly, getting laid. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable. And if you want real texting advice, stuff that doesn't just sound good in theory, but stuff that actually works, then make sure to check out my video on the text game fundamentals or check out my review of Todd V's text game. Anyway, show some love by smashing the like button, hit subscribe, click the bell for notification, and share this video with a friend or two who's a big fan of Hamza. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.